sure.
Would you say it's better than Barbie? On YouTube, 0088 here. I'm here with my fiance Carla, and today we are reviewing Oppenheimer. We completed the Barbenheimer meme.
You are the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves, and the world is not prepared.
4, 3,
Truman needs to know what's next.
2,
What's next?
1.
Completed it. We didn't do it properly because I think Barbenheimer is supposed to do it in the same day, double viewing or whatever.
Oh, God, fuck that. Oppenheimer's long enough as it is.
Yeah.
This film is so long.
You felt the length, didn't you?
Yeah, get your snacks, get your drinks, go to the toilet just before it starts.
Oh, damn, yeah.
Settle down, set up camp. It feels so long.
Yeah, it really
But that doesn't mean to say it's not good. But it's not like Dune, where it's a 3-hour film and you feel like you've been sat there for 45 minutes.
I felt it though, because I needed to pee in Dune badly. I was dying. I'm so glad I didn't need to pee in this one. I would have been like, ah.
I went in expecting a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Because it's such a historical event.
Yeah.
How could you not make a film and it not be a masterpiece?
Yeah.
So I went in expecting it to blow my mind. It's not that it didn't blow my mind, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Do you know what I mean?
I think I had the same feeling. Christopher Nolan definitely had his Nolanisms, if I can call it that, with the super loud music and the really erratic editing and fast pacing that, you know, Dark Knight feels very similar to that, and Inception and Dunkirk.
I loved Dunkirk.
Christopher Nolan has this thing where he loves to not show things in chronological order. Like, he likes to show flashbacks, and recently he's been doing that a lot. And he did that a lot in this film. And you said something interesting where I was like, the editing really threw me off sometimes. It was hard to follow, and it was like making me think, oh, I just got to really listen to it, especially with no subtitles. Got really,
oh yeah, you really have to
What
focus.
timeline are we in now? Okay, Oppenheimer's hair is a bit grey there, so it must be in the future. Okay, he's got more hair now, so it must be in the past.
Yeah.
And you really got to focus on what the hell is going on. And
I didn't struggle with the timeline
Yeah.
at all, because there's like 3 main timelines and it switches between all 3. But I found it quite easy to understand.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't super hard to understand, but it was just like, it made you have to focus a lot harder than you normally would watching
This
film.
isn't a film that you put on a Sunday afternoon and you kind of look at your phone.
Especially when there's no subtitles, you got to focus.
Yeah, it's one of those, you have to focus. I have to watch it again because I'm sure there's a ton of stuff I missed. But it's not not a put your feet up chill. You really have to sit and be like, okay, what timeline are we in? Who is this is speaking? Who is he again?
I don't know if this is a criticism, because it felt almost like it got to an artistic, experimental level with the way it was edited and the way the story was being told.
Very artistic.
Yeah, it was very arty.
Very, very,
and
very
not
artistic.
like it's a biopic, but it's like they wanted to do it in a very film studies art kind of way, you know.
But I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I didn't hate any of that.
No, yeah, I didn't hate it too.
It did take you away from the film. For like a couple of seconds you get taken away from the film because
I felt like other biopics or other films that are trying to tell this kind of story, it would tell it in a more chronological way and more paced out way, with more like moments of quiet or moments of, you know, like in Dune, where they just show bits where it's like a really long scene or there's just quiet for a long period of time, no one's talking. Oppenheimer was like, next thing, and then I felt like in some ways it stopped you from getting a bit of character development from certain characters. Like, there was certain parts, like the bit where, you probably won't remember this now because everything's so crazy, the bit where I think the bigger guy, well, I think he's a scientist, and Oppenheimer, and he said he wanted to leave or something, or he said he didn't want to do it anymore, and Oppenheimer says, he was like shocked, like, oh, you're leaving, or you're not going to be part of this anymore, something like that. And it was felt like it should be a big moment, but I didn't really feel like it was a big moment because so much was so much was going on. Like that, imagine they built up to that or something. You know, all these little things could felt like bigger moments if they just let it build a bit more rather than just jumping around. And then the bit where his girlfriend's dying, you know, or she'd killed herself. And his wife is comforting him, but she's mad because I'm comforting you because you're upset, that the person you cheated on me with is dying, you know? Like, that could be a huge moment, like that, but it was not. It like skipped ahead. Then she was pregnant. Then she had a baby. You know, like
it doesn't allow you the time to process what's happening.
Yeah,
in
everything's
the last
happening.
Scene. It's very like go. But I think that's because they didn't want to cut anything out.
Well, yeah, they wanted to show his whole story.
Yeah,
really
they wanted
fast.
to show his whole story.
But I don't think it's just a technical thing like that. I think it is a creative decision because you could go the route what I just said, and you could get deep into the characters, and you could see all the side characters and everything like that. But you told me something interesting yesterday that it almost feels like Nolan wants you to be in Oppenheimer's mind.
It did feel like that.
Yeah, and then that's what his mind would be like remembering all this erratic.
That's very reminiscent of life, isn't it? One thing will happen and you don't really get the chance to process it before you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That is very reminiscent of actual day-to-day life.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
So, like, you never really do get the time to sit down and process something that's happened
especially when you're an adult, just constantly
before
working,
you
doing this,
have
doing
to
that.
go on to the next thing. Even if it's like the most minuscule thing, you still don't get time to sit down and just be like, oh, okay, let's process
It's almost like we're in his mind during his court hearing, you know, because it starts there, and it's almost like they're talking back to all these things that happened. So this is like Oppenheimer's mind going crazy, remembering all these little events, and that's how you would remember things. Even though it may not be the most optimal way to tell the story of Oppenheimer, it felt intentional in that sense, rather than we need to get all the story in, otherwise we're not confident.
And that's what your thoughts are like. You don't think linear, do you? Like you bounce around to one thing to another thing. I'm not sure, but I think that's what they were trying to say. I felt watching it like we were inside his head, and that's what he wanted you to feel like. I might be completely off mark, but I felt like we were supposed to be in his head, and then that's when all the artistic stuff kind of happened. It was kind of like what he was thinking. He was looking at things because he is a physicist. He looks at things in a very different way.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like I look at this as a bottle of water, he'll think about it as atoms and all the
bits
chemical shit that's
that
going
makes
on
it together.
Do you know what I mean? That's what they were trying to do, and I think some people will hate that.
Yeah,
I think if you're a person that's very linear and likes to just be told a story, I don't think this
a
is
lot of
gonna
people.
be
I think
the
this film will definitely fly over a few people's heads, especially people that were expecting something like Dark Knight or something. You know, that's a bit more straightforward, whereas this is more a bit artsy, you know. Yeah, I think Nolan's getting a bit more artsy as he gets older in his career, you know.
I think as you get more successful, you can take bigger risks, can you?
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
now he's probably thinking,
there's not many directors that can do that nowadays as well.
Not
like,
really.
Like that can just bring a film out like Oppenheimer and be huge. Like most films now are just Marvel, you know, superheroes or something from a comic book or something really popular. No, unless you're a big name director, you can't really do films like this anymore. It's getting harder for them.
Talking about Marvel, Robert Downey Jr. was so good in this film. Actually, the whole cast were incredible. The cast in this film,
they were all great with their roles.
Incredible.
The acting was insane. It was like amazing, especially Robert Downey Jr. and especially I think the best was Oppenheimer himself. You know, so is it Cillian Murphy?
I don't know if it's Cillian Murphy or
I think it's Cillian Murphy. But anyway,
he was incredible.
He was the best. He was even the accent. Have you heard of what he sounds like in real life with his Irish accent?
Yeah.
Like that accent sounded like someone else was speaking. Like you know, it didn't sound like Cillian Murphy at all, and it felt believable the way he was speaking every time. And Robert Downey Jr. Like I was seeing Iron Man, which is hard. But
really, did you feel
I didn't feel like it was Tony Stark, but I was just thinking, that's Robert Downey Jr. But it also showed how great he was because I still believed the character. I still believed what he was saying. I didn't feel like it was Robert Downey Jr. just acting. Like I recognised who it was, his face and all that, because it's so recognised. Like he's so iconic. But like I still felt like the character he was playing was so powerful and still. Made a massive impact when you see him on the screen. Like every time I think of the black and white, I just think of him. The black and white scenes, you know what I mean? Because he was always like dominating all those scenes, wasn't he? Definitely best supporting actor.
It was just amazing to see him doing something different.
Yeah, and doing it well as well.
That he is actually a very
He's
good
actually
actor.
talented.
You know,
I knew that since I saw him in Sherlock Holmes. Like when he was doing the English accent, I was like, oh, this guy can actually act. Even though it's a bit more of a sillier film, but. I was like, oh yeah, he can actually act. You know, that's why I knew he was going to do good in this because most people probably think Robert Downey Jr. is in this. Oh, am I going to just keep seeing Iron Man? But I knew he was going to do good.
He was incredible. I wasn't expecting him to be that good. But everyone in this film, they all shine in their own way. Emily Blunt, she didn't. To be fair, really she doesn't actually have that much screen time. Yeah, but you can't help but be like. Just captivated by the way she's speaking, the way she's acting. Even when she's acting drunk, you're still like, what is this? What's going on with her? Like,
Yeah, she
really still manages to captivate you.
Yeah, there's this interesting bit where, you know, Florence Poe and
she was very good.
Yeah, she was good at it, and she had a lot of nude and sex scenes in it, and then I heard all this stuff like how people were upset about the sex scenes, and people were like saying, "Oh, it's really nude." Oh, I was like, "Really? Is it that big of a deal?" Like The Idol was the same situation. People complain about all the sex scenes and the nudity in The Idol. I was like, it was so minuscule. I'm shocked that in India they covered her body with CGI dress and that. That's the only CGI in the whole film apparently as well.
Her dress.
If
that's the only CGI, I expect it to look incredible.
Yeah.
If that's the only bit they ever used.
Yeah, but I felt like the nudity, like, so Cillian Murphy is quoted saying that the sex scenes and nudity was really needed, because I think it was, because it was like, it was showing you when they're together that they're lovers. Like that's the whole point of it, without having to force it.
Yeah.
Like, oh I love you, having to force it with dialogue.
Yeah.
Soon as you see them sitting there, both naked, comfortable in their own space, butt naked, you're like, all right, they're lovers, they're comfortable with each other. You don't need any more dialogue after that. You know, then they can talk about the actual story instead.
Yeah, and like not everyone straight after sex puts their clothes back on straight away.
And realistically, everyone do sit naked like that.
Yeah, you do.
If you actually,
like, if you're comfortable with somebody, then you don't just quickly get back up and put your clothes on and sit down and have a chat, do you?
Yeah.
Like it's. So
That's
it's
what it'd be
reminiscent
like.
of real life. Again, it's very like reminiscent of what we do in our day to day.
It's just a quick imagery that tells you, okay, these guys are lovers, and
they're
you can just tell.
comfortable.
Yeah. Like, imagine if they weren't naked in that scene and they were fully clothed.
You wouldn't
know if he was cheating on his wife or not.
Yeah.
Like, immediately you know that image is.
You know he went there. They had sex, made love, whatever.
So I get what he means by it was important. So,
yeah, I get it too. And I don't think the nudity was that bad at all. She was just naked.
Yeah, literally.
And it's like.
And the sex scene
it's
was like
2023.
you miss it.
If you're upset about a woman's body in 2023.
Yeah. And the actual sex scene where they had sex with each other is a blink and you miss it kind of. It was more about him learning his most famous quote, I am death, the destroyer of worlds.
Which apparently didn't actually ever happen. He didn't learn that quote whilst they were, they were doing the nasty.
Oh, you looked that didn't happen?
Yeah, apparently that didn't happen.
They didn't learn it that way.
Apparently that's just something, he didn't learn it that way. That's something they added.
Just added, they're going to do that. Yeah, but yeah, he did say, I thought he said it when the bombs hit Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but he actually did say it during the test, the Trinity test. That's when he actually did say it, because there's an interview talking about when he said it, and that's where it became famous, that quote, you know, and it was from the Hindu scripture or whatever.
At first, I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't show the bombs dropping on.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't show any of that, any of the aftermath of that. But then I actually realised that's quite like, people know how horrific that was. Like, it's quite classy that they decided not to show that. I know I wanted to see it because I wanted to see like, how are they going to do this then? How are they going to show these images which are like, people know, they're like etched in people's minds. How are they going to do that? But they didn't even bother, and I think that was quite a classy move. We all know how horrific it was.
The people that know, they know, right? But then there's going to be people that don't know how bad it was. A lot of the film was very, we've got to get this bomb, like, almost like, I don't know how to describe it, almost like a movie where everyone's building up to this big event and everyone's excited and everyone's trying to like it's almost like a positive thing. They were showing it as
they definitely showed it in a positive.
Yeah, like building up to it.
Yeah.
So I just thought, how powerful would it be if they did show it and just show the devastation it caused and how deadly it is and how horrible it is, and everybody's excited and clapping about this. Like,
that bit was horrific.
Yeah,
like I was sat there.
But imagine if you've seen the actual bombings. I mean, they showed like what it would be like from Oppenheimer's point of view. Like everyone's clapping here, and I'm stepping on corpses, and like, you know, in his head he's stepping on what the corpses would have been like, you know. And then you find out that people are dying days later after the bomb hit. You think that they think they might have survived, but then they're getting sick from the radiation and all that stuff. Yeah. And imagine if you saw all that. Then you realise just how disgusting and devastating all of it is. Like, they're building this bomb and it's like a scientific miracle. But why are we doing scientific miracles? And one of the greatest intelligent minds alive is using his brains for such destruction and death. You know, it's just horrible. That
I think maybe what they were trying to do with that is he didn't even know what was going to happen. He knew it was going to be devastating, but I think that they thought it would just wipe people out like that. It would be instant death for everybody. He wasn't even told, was he? He wasn't even told when they were dropped. He just found out on the news with everyone else. I think you're meant to see it like he wasn't even sure what was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But talking about that scene where they were all like cheering and clapping, and watching that, knowing what we know now, was so eerie and so, like, you sit there and they're all clapping and it's like, well, that's probably what they did do.
They didn't know.
They didn't
just
know.
Think we're winning the war. It's
We're
so sad.
The war, yeah.
They always made it seem like, oh, we've got to drop it on Japan. Like, we've beaten Germany now. We've beaten the Nazis. What are we going to do with this bomb?
Yeah, and it's almost like we need to use it now.
We need to use it to make a point, you know, to show how strong we are. Like, and that was literally the only reason they used it. Like, I mean, Pearl Harbor, but you're going to compare Pearl Harbor attack, like a attack on soldiers on Pearl Harbor, to like killing civilians and children, and it's just mad. It's mad that. But then the whole point was that Oppenheimer was saying throughout, even before the bombs dropped and all that, he was saying throughout the film that once these bombs have dropped, hopefully it should create a deterrent and stop Russia and America. Yeah,
that's why nobody's
make
done
everybody terrified to use it again. And you said something interesting, that in a sad, messed up way, like someone had to kind of get hit first to just show the devastation, so humans know to never use it again. Hopefully we never use it again.
It was horrific, but somebody was going to do it first, right? Whether it's the Americans, the Russians,
could have been way
Chinese,
worse as well if certain other people used it on certain other people, because it could have been a more stronger bomb or a more intense nuclear blast that maybe it would have done what Oppenheimer predicted, where it would have burnt in the atmosphere and just kept burning the atmosphere to the point where the whole Earth is gone, you know? It could have been, we could have been extinct, basically.
I just want to talk about the storyline at the moment, because I know you didn't feel this, but I felt really sorry for him. Yeah. And I don't know if you're supposed to feel sorry for him, but I felt really sorry for him.
No, I wouldn't say I felt really sorry for him, but I definitely felt I felt for him a bit.
This poor guy was dragged into this. He didn't really want to do it. He was dragged into it. And then once they got what they wanted from him, they were like, thank you very much for your time, sir, bye. They bounced off.
No, they even hesitated. They just said, bye.
Did what they did. The movie showed it as they were quite proud of what they did. They even showed the president saying,
get this crybaby out my office.
Yeah, get this crybaby out my office. Yeah. Like, they seemed like it was quite a proud event. Yeah. And then when he turned around and actually realised the devastation himself, and then started to go against the US government and say, look, we need to put protocols in place, everyone hated on him. Everyone hated on him for seeing the error of his ways. And I just think, in like today's life, council culture and all that, we try and make people pay for their mistakes so badly now. And all he was trying to do was pay for his own mistake, and everyone was just like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Because they wanted to be proud. They wanted to be like, yeah, USA, we did the right thing. But no one wants to feel guilty about what they did until it was time to feel guilty about what you did.
But he took accountability. He saw it and was like...
Well, he wanted everybody to take accountability, and then no one was ready to do that, you know? And like Einstein said to him, he was like, soon, when they're ready, they'll like treat you like a hero again, because they'll realise, oh, you were right. But you need to give them time. He didn't say it in those words, but that's basically what he meant, right? And then eventually it is like that now. People are happy that Oppenheimer regrets. Well, no, he doesn't really regret what he did, but it's like he sees the error and how bad it was, and maybe some part of it was necessary to stop further damage or worse things happening. But overall, Oppenheimer was like, yeah, this was not a good thing, and you know, it's horrible, people die, blah blah blah. And people have caught up with him, but I guess back then, when it was still fresh, people were like, no, we're heroes, no, we did the right thing, no, you know.
The scene in the movie when he goes to see the president, I would love to know how that conversation went in real life. Oh, if I could be a fly on the wall in that conversation, because I would love to see, was it actually like that?
Or was they just sharing a coffee and smoking and having a laugh, you know?
Yeah, or was the president like, look, this is on me, it's not on you.
Maybe it never even happened, I'm sure it did, but maybe, who knows?
I'm sure it did. If he was in Time magazine and he was really
I'm sure Truman had to have met him. Like the guy that created the biggest bomb ever, Truman had to have met him for sure. You know, it's based on a book called Prometheus.
I saw that at the end.
I wonder if the book is like going back and forth like that, if it's similar.
Just a quick fire session. Favourite character?
Definitely Oppenheimer, I think. It was just most fun to watch when he's on screen. The way he was talking, the way he controlled the room, like how sophisticated he was, how smart he was. It was just fun when he's on screen. Yeah. If I had to say a second favourite other than Oppenheimer, probably Matt Damon's character. Matt Damon,
yeah, for me.
I don't know, like when they were together on screen, Oppenheimer and him was really like good chemistry, good dynamic. Yeah. And Robert Downey Jr. was fun to watch as well. He was really good.
Yeah. Okay, favourite scene?
Favourites, got to be the build up to the bomb, innit?
Oh my gosh,
and that was the one time where Nolan wasn't. It felt like a movie. Nolan wasn't doing the erratic editing and the loud music. I mean, there was music, but it was like build up, you know. And that scene was intense, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is the big, you know, money shot bit of the movie, innit?
When they're testing the bomb.
Yeah, and then it was mad. You said you looked at your watch and then you saw there was an hour left after that. You're like, oh, what's after this?
Yeah.
It was the whole drama of the whole courtroom stuff. But it's like, wait, we've got to the climax. What more is there?
I think that scene, it wasn't when the bomb was going to go off. It was when they were like raising it up and like putting all the components together.
Because you know, like, we were like, imagine that just drops.
Yeah,
you know,
like you would feel like that, wouldn't you? You'd be like, I'm stood right next to this thing, and it could go off at any point. That bit for me was more intense. Not the actual explosion or the build up to the explosion. The actual bit where they're like putting all the components together. I was like sat there like, oh shit.
I did think it was really cool when it exploded and there was no sound whatsoever.
Yeah, that was, and then the sound flipped.
Yeah, and then they're breathing heavy and there's like, oh shit, and then we see the UV lights go on their face. And then Oppenheimer says his famous line, you know, I am death, the destroyer of worlds, and all of a sudden, poof, like they feel the shock waves, and I'm like, oh crap! That was such good filmmaking, building the tension and all that. That was definitely one of the, has to be my favourite scene.
Yeah, that was my favourite scene as well.
I don't know if you recognise him, you know, Huey from
Yeah, I recognised Huey.
The Boys.
Yeah, straight away I was like, Huey!
I have to put a picture up now, but I'll probably show you later, but if you see how much he looks like the guy he was playing, and apparently it's true that he didn't want to put any UV thing or the goggles on. That was actually a true thing that his character was like, I don't want to put that on. Apparently the character who's playing actually said that in real life when they did the Trinity test in real life, which is interesting. It was cool that they apparently did a lot of stuff. That there was like all the other scientists are real famous scientists, and I read some stuff where last night when we got home I read some stuff about how a lot of those scientists were really famous people and they did amazing stuff during the Trinity project, but obviously Nolan didn't have time to. There's focus on Oppenheimer in it, so Nolan didn't have time to show that. But that's what I mean. Like you could see, it would have been really cool to be able to have time to see what all those other guys were doing and like how they're involved in the project a bit more, you know. But yeah, so one of the comments I read was, "This ain't Avengers." Like this is about Oppenheimer. It's not about what every little individual person's doing, which is true. But it's interesting to know that they all did their own big thing as well.
And that's why I felt sorry for him, because it wasn't one guy that created one bomb on his own. It was a collective like, project.
Scientists,
those scientists actually got off pretty
lightly
good,
compared to him from what we saw.
Least favourite scene.
Least favourite scene.
The bit where you were like, oh, come on.
I don't think Nolan gave me enough time to be like, which is probably, maybe that's his intention. You're not allowed to be bored. I feel like in some ways I wonder is it arty or is it, oh man, like in this generation of TikTok and low attention spans, we've got to put loud music in there, we've got to make it fast paced, you know, I don't know, maybe that's why, because you imagine if all the scenes were played out naturally, it would be like, wow, there's a lot of talking and it's not very exciting, you know? But I don't know, I feel like it's more arty, it's got to be more arty, but yeah, least favourite scene, I
don't think there was any scene that I didn't think, why is this here?
Maybe after the bomb exploded, because you're like almost like a come down at that bit, it's like, they were doing it, because I didn't know where it was going to go from there, so I was getting a bit like, not confused, but like, that's when I was getting a little bit impatient with the whole courtroom scene, and then the flashing back and forth, and then I was like, then I started to get a bit lost, like, what are we doing here now? Like, what is this? Are they trying to find out if he's a defector? Are they trying to, like, get him done? Are they trying to put blame on him? Are they trying, I was getting a bit lost there, and because I must have missed something with the Rob Downey Jr.'s character, like, he wanted to be in a cabinet or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he I don't know exactly what, but I think he just wanted to advance his political
and I was
career,
lost
basically.
with his motivation until he finally said his motivation, where it's like, oh, Einstein ignored me and Oppenheimer was mean.
Literally, like a child.
Like a child, yeah.
Like a child.
And I was like, oh, that's why he's doing all this. And then you get this reveal that he's behind it all, and I was like, then it started to get interesting again.
Yeah.
But that, just before that bit, I was getting a bit like impatient, a bit lost there. But yeah, once it started building up to that, where that guy's putting pressure on him, you know, in the courtroom, and the music was getting louder and louder and louder, and then like it was a big white flash, like you were in like Oppenheimer's head, like how until he broke and he started yelling. That's when it started getting interesting again. But yeah, before that that bit was a bit not very
dull.
Yeah, a bit dull after the bomb. You know, like you're trying to. You wanted to almost wrap it up then, but no, it kept going and going.
Yeah. So when it exploded, I looked at my watch and I was like, oh fuck, an hour left.
Yeah,
I was
like,
what are they going to do for an hour?
Yeah.
But then obviously it came out that he got accused of being a spy and being part of the Soviet Union and all of that. Would you give it out of 10?
I'll give it a 7.5, 8.
Really?
Yeah.
That's quite high.
Yeah.
That is quite high.
Well, I always give like around, because it was a solid film, but it was. I would love to give it a 9, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like the story might have been served better if it was more traditionally told. But I appreciate the art.
You appreciate what it's trying to do.
I appreciate what it's trying to do, and I kind of want to watch it again with subtitles. I bet it'll be even better.
Yeah.
You know.
That was my. I would give it a 5 or a 6. Actually, I'm going to give it a 6 because I gave Barbie a 5, and I can't have them on the same level.
Yeah.
Because you can't compare.
I'll give Barbie a 5, and I'll give this one an 8. 9.
Well, I'll give it like a 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next question to you was, how long are you going to wait before you watch it again?
Don't know. We'll see if it comes naturally to watch it again.
Would you rush to watch it again?
Probably not. I mean, if I did watch it again, it'll be a subtitled one,
for
so I can get everything this time around. You know.
For sure.
Would you say it's better than Barbie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though they're very different, like from the way you got to judge films, like when they're very different like this, even though they put Oppenheimer together for some reason, the way you got to judge it is, did it accomplish what it was trying to do, basically? And I feel like Barbie didn't really accomplish exactly what it was trying to do. It accomplished money, that's for sure. But in terms of like what the film was trying to do, I don't think it accomplished what it was trying to do properly.
Yeah,
I don't feel that.
I don't feel like. I feel like I missed something in Barbie.
Yeah.
But talking about Barbie, it was. I know it's reflective of the time. It was quite nice to watch a film where things aren't being shoved down your throat, like wokeness.
Yeah.
They couldn't put any wokeness in there because
it's based on true life.
Yeah. Because of the time. Yeah, there's not many females in it.
Yeah, they don't talk to each other. I've seen some criticisms.
There's not going to be many
I've seen some criticisms that, there's no women in it for this long. It's about Oppenheimer, a scientist guy. Like, people are trying to get women in STEM today. Like, imagine the women in STEM back then, you know?
There was one line, and it just felt supernatural, but it was very, like, not feministic, but very, like, girl power. You know, when the woman is talking about, he says about her, we need to protect your reproductive organs.
Yeah, that's what.
And she kind of stood up for herself and said, "Well, your organs are more exposed than mine are."
Yeah.
Like, it was very natural.
Yeah. And it felt like something that would have been said back then.
It felt like something she would have said.
Girl power makes sense when you're in a time where there wasn't girl power.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. It wasn't like thrown down your throat. Like it felt so natural in that situation. It was like. And then when he took her off the job, he kind of made a point of saying it's not because of your reproductive organs, it's because I need you
to help this guy.
Yeah, I need you to help with him.
Yeah.
But that was quite cool because there was one female scientist, and and it showed her that she had to really fight for her position, but in a really like natural way. Like it wasn't thrown down your throat. Like, look at this woman. Yeah. She's suffering. You know. Yeah,
I'm glad it was.
It felt so natural.
Nolan had the power to make it not have to depict today's, you know, world like every other film.
Can you?
Yeah.
You can't depict a 2023 in a time when Einstein's in your movie. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't. And if you tried to, people would see right through it. People would see right through it.
I know Nolan would never do that shit. He's too like, I got this properly type of guy, you know. But yeah, that's it. That's I think that's our.
I have so much more to say. I could literally do a podcast on this whole film.
Yeah, you could.
I could literally talk for.
We don't want to make it too long, and people be like, "It's an hour long. I'm watching this video."
Well, like, this is as long as the bloody film.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to get
Final
out?
thoughts is, what's his name? Cillian
Murphy.
Murphy lost so much weight that at some point he looked like Michael Jackson. Like, no, I'm not being horrible, but some scenes his cheekbones were so like.
Yeah. Do you see what the real Oppenheimer, how skinny he is?
Yeah.
It's mad that he did that, man.
He looked like Michael Jackson at some shots.
He lost so much weight.
I was like, oh wow.
Apparently he was eating like a nut a day or something. I don't know. An almond nut a day or something. That's what he said. Anyway. Right, that's our review. And
that was my final thought, is that you look like Michael Jackson.
Okay, what's your final thought? What's your next final thought?
My final thought is, it's a really good film. It's worth going to the cinema to see, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely see it at the cinema. It's not a home movie. Settle down with some snacks. Go to the toilet before. and just don't have any expectations.
Yeah, don't have any expectations.
If you go in thinking this is going to be the next Shawshank Redemption or the next Dark Knight or the next Green Mile, you're going to be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, it's not that very structure at all.
Yeah, it's very artsy. Structure.
It's not like a character development structure type thing.
No.
You know, even though there are characters they develop, but it's like from an experimental perspective kind of. Cillian Murphy definitely best actor, I think. Mm-hmm. You know.
And Emily Blunt, she best supporting character. Like I wouldn't be mad at that because she had such little lines, but it would have been good
if they. I think the Oscars have mashed all the genders together now.
I think so, yeah.
So I feel like it's sad because if they kept it like female male, Emily Blunt probably could win Best Supporting Actor, maybe even Best Actress or whatever. But now they've mashed it together. I guarantee Robert Downey Jr. gets Best Supporting Actor, and Cillian Murphy would get
It also depends what films they're going up against.
Yeah,
I don't think Ken stands a chance.
Can you imagine? Ken is competing. Ken is competing with Cillian Murphy for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor. Robert Downey Jr. Can you imagine? It's a madness. But as long as the Oscars, weird diversity shenanigans, and they just do it based on who's actually the best.
They have to now, don't they? They have like
such a
tick
weird
boxes and quotas.
Such a weird time. Like someone might legitimately be better than you, but because it's not balanced enough, they're gonna kick you out. But why don't you just keep the separated categories then? Like I don't know. Anyway,
why don't we celebrate the genders for what they are? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we? Women are important enough to have their own category.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I get at the same time you could have a.
But not everyone fits in that category. Like not everyone.
Like it depends what the film is, but it's weird. It's weird. Like, Oscar's a weird thing anyway in general. But yeah, let's wrap this up. That's our review. That's our thoughts on Oppenheimer. If you liked it, please give us a like, subscribe. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? What would you give it out of 10? Is it better than Barbie? Did it beat Barbie in the Barbenheimer battle?
Yes.
And let us know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.